I would have bet $1,000 that Chad wouldn't have passed Joel in either moto, even with the opportunity given, just because of the points and the scenario that it had to be. You're not going to go out and pass the guy and give the guy an open door to possibly clean you out or whatever. When he went by Joel, I was just like, what in the, like, I've seen it all now.
From there on, just set myself like, you're going to pick your motos, but if you're there and you have the pace, you got to go for it.
Where do we see Max Lindquist finishing in 2021? I think Chad, like any year, is just, the guy's incredible. So there's never nothing you can take from him in that sense of being the most consistent guy that I feel like we've ever seen in ATV motocross.
All the people that are saying Chad only won this because of Joel's DNF at Pleasure Valley, in my mind, I just don't think that that's true. I don't think that that one moto decided the whole thing. In a must-win scenario for Joel, Chad went out and said, 2020 is my year. Chad put on a hell of a ride in that first moto, and that kind of put the icing on the cake for the rest of that thing, because now he even had a bigger gap and just one moto left.
It just took a little time to get everything where I wanted it, and once I did, I felt very strong on the machine, and we started clicking off wins, and didn't have a 1-1 finish for quite a few years, and it was really nice at Redbud to finally do that. And I just knew that from then on that I was the guy, and I felt like I had the speed and the total package. I've been able to ride the same setup for 3-4 years and not have to change it too much, but progression of the sport is really increasing, and a lot of young riders coming up, and they want to be where I'm at. And my training was next level as well, and changing my diet, and just bringing extra things to the table this year that really helped me secure my 7th championship.
That whole race, I was struggling with my legs. My legs just felt fatigued the whole day. I was sitting down more than I normally do, and I just didn't have the strength, and I really didn't know why. Trying to recover that second moto, I went out there, and those first couple laps, you probably noticed I wasn't quite myself. I got passed by Bryce, and then I slowly started to get going again. Once I got in the second, I couldn't break away from Thomas. I just didn't have that extra little bit to get going, and yep. I had no answer. So we went into full-on recovery mode. Several ice baths, just trying to recover my legs, and had my doc Trent there helping me, with recovery and stretching and everything that we could possibly do to try and help get my legs back. And woke up Sunday, I was back to 100%, ready to go. And then we get out there on track, and I knew it was going to be a tough day because of the track conditions. We're going to be pretty smooth, and they're not going to play into my favor so much.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yep.
And I was like, all right, you just got to go out there and put in 14 of the hardest laps you got and let it rip.
You grabbed another gear, and I think I said this in the last episode, but how do you grab another gear at in your late 30s? And the sport, it just doesn't happen, and he managed to do it.
I've been weaning myself from the meat and the dairy, and been more plant-based this year, and my body's been reacting very well to it. And obviously me being older, I'm 30, I just turned 36, and anything that will help my body recover faster and make me feel better is always a plus. And sometimes you try things and they're not working, but this seems to be working pretty well for me.
Went into that moto having a 10-point lead, and you can lose that and get a big chunk of that in a weekend. Yep. And from there on, I kind of just set myself you're going to pick your motos, but if you're there and you have the pace, you got to go for it. I think this year was adapting to track conditions that I wasn't necessarily the best at. I feel like the package that we had, suspension, engine, everything like that, I strongly believe we had the better upper hand in that this year for sure. From there, I just mentally put it in my head all right, remember this back in Pennsylvania, you get in the lead, you cannot surrender it. You got to put everything you got into it.
Hetrick's been my big competition every year, and you know, I feel like he is starting to pick up on his weaknesses, and I have also gotten better at my weaknesses. So we're always like progressing ourselves, and you know, what he brings to the table is his raw speed, and I feel like, you know, this year with his change of brand to Yamaha, I think that'll help his program out in the reliability department. Obviously, there will be some growing pains.
Joel wins the battle, taking the second moto win in the overall, but Chad wins the war. He finishes in second, you know, the number 2 spot on the day, which was more than enough to clinch his 7th AMA ATV Pro Class National Championships.
Where do we see Max Lindquist finishing in 2021?
2020 was definitely so far the highlight of my career.
The thing is to be 16 years old and ride, like this was his first season on a 450. I just can't believe we saw what we saw from him. And I so wish we would have been able to see him go pro at the end of the season after he wrapped up the Pro-Am Championship, because I truly believe he would have been a factor for that 6th, 7th spot. Like, not to disrespect anybody, but I almost like no doubt in my mind. Like, that's how I feel like he would have factored in now. If he's able to be healthy, I mean, I think he's a 5th place guy, 6th, 5th, maybe 5th is the ceiling, but I think he's so consistent, he's so mature for a young kid. I think the floor is 6th or 7th.
Very excited for this. I mean, tried to do it at the end of last year and couldn't quite get there, so excited for this year. Every time I go to the track, I mean, obviously the main goal is to go to win. It's a big step, and I'll be happy with the top 5, and the podium would be great.
His consistency and smoothness, and then the knowledge that's being dumped into his program by Chad, I think keeps the mechanicals out of it and lets him click things off to the right direction.
Ride them wide open, and you got an impact in your hand, you have to run that wide open too. It's all right.
I just get trigger happy.
Just continue to ride with him and learning every day. I mean, I always learn something new, and it's just a blast to be working with him and have the experience and knowledge of someone like that helping me. So definitely makes me very excited for this 2021 season.
There's people that are just cut out to be gnarly athletes that are just got a kind of a different mental tick to them. He's one of those guys. I did see that he suffered a pretty gnarly shoulder separation in the last couple days. I don't think he's going to have surgery, but he's definitely going to be off the bike for a few months here now.
Our winter home is down here in Daytona, less than 10 minutes away from where we're going to be racing at the Speedway, and the track is always height racing. Just what that brings to the table for our first round, where everybody has their nerves, and it's all about if you can control them, you know, in that aspect, because it's so easy to make a mistake there that can cost you your whole season where you're digging out of a hole. There is no end point to, you know, an end goal or anything like that. I think it's just like the unsatisfaction of like being satisfied. I'm starting to like try to slow down time a little bit and enjoy, you know, the good times and the bad, and I'm gonna keep doing this as long as I'm still, you know, having fun and enjoying it, making a living for my family, and still have that burn, you know, to go out there and better myself every day, and the challenge of, you know, being the best in the world, and I'm ready to go.